Hi everyone, welcome to Cuppa and Chat episode 2. So as it's Mental Health Awareness Week this week, I just wanted to do a episode on mental health first aid. So go put the kettle on, go grab your cuppa. Mine this week, as always, is Yorkshire tea, and come back and we'll go through what mental health first aid is. So as I've covered before, yes, we're back in my office purely because there's a few things I need from my office to be able to show you first aid. So one of the things, obviously, with myself is I am a mental health first aider. I trained 3 years ago, so at the back end of 2023. So my renewal, my certificate is due for renewal in October. So what we get with mental health first aid is you will essentially be trained by a trainer who is a mental health first aider themselves. What they have to do is they have to train at least 4 people in a year to keep their certification, so you know they're current and everything like that. So with mental health first aiders, at work we have a whole team of us. Your workplace or whatever may well only have like one person that's mental health first aid or a mental health first aider. They may not even have a mental health first aider. They may well just signpost it externally. It fully depends. Sometimes it's the same people that are your first aiders, your fire marshals, that sort of thing. Other times it will be dedicated people that have done the training that just volunteered or part of a community group or whatever. On that side of things. So what is a mental health first aider? So as it says on the tin, you have first aid at work. You have first aid at home. Obviously first aid we can go to A&E. But first aid, if you need a plaster, if you need anything like that for physical, we have physical first aid. So in around 2000, I'm just going to reference my book purely because I don't know the figures off the top of my head. But in, I believe it was 2006 in England, mental health first in the workplace was a brilliant service. It's a tech service, so obviously for the younger generation that don't necessarily like talking to people on the phone, or neurodivergent people that don't like talking to people on the phone, that sort of thing, they can text Shout. And I'll put all the details for this in the description and also on the screen. So with Shout, you can text them, text the word Shout to the number, and they'll text you back, and it'll basically be one of their volunteers and counsellors and that sort of thing that will help you out on that side of things. There's also websites, like one of the really good ones we promote at work is one called Hub of Hope. So that's hubofhope.org.uk, and when you go on there, you pop in your postcode and it will tell you all the local counsellors, safe havens for any domestic abuse, things like that, any sort of local voluntary places as well, all sorts of things on there. It's a brilliant website to go and look at. So yeah, the main thing we do is sort of make it visible, keep on sort of talking to people, making sure they're okay, and then obviously if anyone does need anything, is being able to talk to them, just make sure they're okay, make sure they're talking to either their GP, their counsellor if they've got one. If not, are they talking to someone at Samaritans? Are they talking to someone at on Shout, and essentially getting that help that they need. So the next thing is it difficult? It can be, but, and this is a big but on this one, it doesn't have to be. The reason we say that is, well, the reason I say that is because with work and things like that, we have a group, and we have lots of people in work that are trained as mental health first aiders. But the one thing we do is every year or every few months, we will audit around all of our mental health first aiders and people that are actually a part of it and say, are you still okay being a visible member of this group? Are you okay being on all the posters, on all the literature, on the intranet, that sort of thing? Or Are you needing to take a back seat? Are you in a place where you can actually handle this? So one thing you are trained at is obviously during your training you learn, yes, it's great being a mental health first aider and listening to people and helping people, but if you are at that limit yourself, you can't help someone else. It will break you. So you learn you get taught different things of, I think if I find the right page, the analogy in here is I think it's a jug with a bit on the bottom and a bit at the top, and obviously if you're on a funnel, if you've got it plugged at the bottom and it's full up, it's going to overflow the top, which you've run out of space. But if you've got it as opened at the bottom, then you can let a little bit out, you can de-stress. So it's how you sort of de-stress as well from the stresses of being a mental health first aider, if you need to. Now, one of the things obviously with that is just making sure you take time for yourself as well. So one of the things that we actually encourage is we will put in, if we're having a meeting between mental health first aiders, we will actively say, right, 10 minutes at the end is, we're not going to go over the 10 minutes, or we'll go to, if it's an hour, we'll go to 50 minutes. If it's half an hour, we'll try and get to 25 minutes. So you've got time at the end to decompress, have 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, go into the garden, go into the kitchen, make a cup of tea, have 5 minutes to yourself. That's the idea, is that obviously every time we say, one of the great things is things like smartwatches. So with smartwatches, a lot of the time you'll have Google Fitness on there, and it will go, you've had half an hour of activity, you've had 8 hours of sleep, you've had whatever I think the other one is sleep, activity, and then I think it's drinking or something. I can't remember what the other part of the heart is that comes up off the top of my head, but the idea is that you are having that 10 minutes of relaxing. So whether that is going for a walk, so obviously that half an hour, whether you're going for a walk, whether you're doing cleaning, whatever helps you de-stress in life, you're doing that, and you're making sure that you are having that separation. Now, one of the things that for myself, being mostly remote, and obviously a lot of this came around during COVID as well, is with working in my office space and having a setup for my work laptop and having my work stuff at my desk in my office is great. But when it comes to the end of the day, I don't want to be in here and working. The temptation is there to work, but also I don't want to be in here working when I should be relaxing. So during the week, one sort of the rules that I set myself is, unless there's some special reason I need to do it, during the week I won't use my own PC, because it's on these same monitors, the same desk, the same chair and everything that I've been sat in for work during the week. So I've been sat in here for 8 hours in the day, obviously with breaks and what have you, but I've been sat in here for 30 hours in the week. I don't want to be sat in here on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, knowing I'm going to be back on my PC in a few hours' time. So that's why I sort of exclusively use my PC for gaming at the weekend and Friday nights. And also happens to be when I do the majority of my recording and video editing, which is why it takes me a while to get these things out. So part of this is also, for me, this is a bit of my de-stress, because, like I said in one of my earlier videos where I was doing a bit of a life update, I want to do this just to get more confident. Now I've gone back to a job where I'm having meetings with customers and talking with customers and going through reports and stuff. I want to get more confident at presenting to cameras. So obviously, being able to present to meetings, being able to present things, being able to talk, and everyone sort of listening, that sort of thing. But anyway, I digress on that side of things. So, next question is, do you need to be trained? The answer to that is yes. So Mental Health First Aid England, you can go on their website. I'll link it in the description. With that side of things, you go on there, look for the book onto a session, and there are sessions there for full mental health first aid courses, which we need to do. So what you generally find is it's either 2 days or 4 days, depending how the person wants to run it. So it might be 2 full days or 4 half days for the sessions. So in the actual book itself, you are split up into 4 sessions. So on here, you've got session 1, session 2, session 3, session 4. Session 1 is just all about what is mental health first aid, why, sort of the what, the why, introduction to algae. So with this, sort of helpful and unhelpful languages, and the stress container, which is what I was on about earlier with the funnel, but also having that frame of reference, and there'll be a few activities, things like that you do. Session 2 is more about helping out in sort of anxiety, panic attacks, sort of mental health first aid at traumatic events, a bit about eating disorders as well, so spotting eating disorders, but also a bit around the mental health side of that, and a little bit about self-harm and substance misuse. Session 3, which is I normally warn people that are going to do it. Session 3 is the sort of trigger warning one, because that's the one that is about depression, that is about suicide, and is also about sort of that crisis, the lived experience, so people that have attempted suicide and come out the other side, and also obviously that experience of it, and also going a little bit into psychosis and things like that as well. And then session 4 is about the recovery, applying your algae method, your boundaries of your MHF, your mental health first aider role, and then a little bit of what sort of moving into it looks like. So that's sort of a fairly light session anyway, because session 3 is such a heavy topic in that sort of sense. So don't want to put anyone off it. It is a great piece of training to do, even if you just do it for that side and being more mental health aware. It is brilliant. It's just a case of that session 3. If you've been through any of sort of the things I've mentioned, or you know people that have been through that, it can be a little bit tough. So one of the main reasons that I became mental health first aider in the first place was, as well as work, I have quite a few friends outside of work that are in that sort of category, shall we say, of some of them have got depression. I know a few people with eating disorders. I know a few people with a lot of other issues as well, and being able to sort of do that, as well as one of the main reasons I wanted to do it as well was when I was 18, 19, when I was about 19, 20, one of my best friends actually committed suicide. So I wanted to sort of, as part of a thing with this coming up, I was like, if I can help stop one person from doing that and getting to the point of committing suicide, or getting to the point of sort of having those thoughts, brilliant. That's what I want to do. That is part of what I want to do to help live that memory on, if that makes sense, on there. So when you want to, if you want to become a mental health first aider, really easy. Ask at work. Ask your HR department at work if there is anything of such a thing at your workplace. If there is, they'll probably say, great, leave it with us, or they'll point you to the sort of L&D person to discuss it and get booked on. If there isn't, you can go to MHFA England and go onto their courses, look there. There is a cost on there for if you're doing it privately, but a lot of the time companies will pay for this because they need that provision, and if it's in-house it doesn't cost them loads extra other than the actual course material in there, so it's worth just doing that way. I think roughly off the top of my head, I think for a brand new mental health first aider, I think it's around £125, £150, somewhere around there. So again, go talk to your workplace, see if they will pay for it for you. If not, it's not hugely expensive to do it if it's something that you wanted to do. Again, with the actual qualification, so to speak, it lasts for 3 years, and then you have to do a refresher, which is essentially a half-day session or a couple of hours of going through and just learning whatever the latest up-to-date information is on that side of things. So yeah, it's brilliant being a mental health first aider. I mean, I've helped quite a few people, whether it's chatting through work stressors, whether it's in personal life, things like that, of talking to people, just helping them out with their issues and pointing in the right direction, saying, have you tried, like, I know you've been having issues, but have you tried talking to a counsellor? Have you tried going to this person or whatever? And the majority of it, in fairness, is just being a friendly shoulder and a friendly ear, and just being able to listen to people and just being able to give them that direction of going to Samaritans, going to Shout, going to Hub of Hope, and going, well, if you need to find a counsellor, go to Hub of Hope, type in your postcode and see what's out there. Talk to your GP. If you've got it, sort of those sort of things, talk to your GP and see what they say, because they can get you referred as well to a counsellor, or you can find one yourself on the NHS and things like that as well, or if you've got private health, that sort of thing, you can find them. So it's all part of that, of just making sure that you are sort of that friendly ear that can point people in the right direction when they may not know where it is themselves, or it may be a case of someone needs that little bit of help. But yeah, in short, would I do it again? Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I mean, one of the things that I do need to do is do my refresher in October, like I said, which I will be doing. One of the things, hopefully, this year, unfortunately, this last month, when we've run, for this week, we've run our Wear It Green campaign to symbolise, obviously, with the green of these, and Samaritans and what have you, which we did yesterday. I wasn't able to get into the office to help with that much, but also I've been away last week and been busy with other things this month, so it's been a little bit hectic for me getting that far. But yeah, it's obviously the weather's better outside now, so one of the things obviously is going out for a walk most days, which is what I will be doing shortly. But other than that, I hope you've enjoyed your cuppa while you've been watching this. Mine's still warm, luckily. And I will see you guys next time.